This video is part 2 of creating image targets in Unity using Vuforia. In the first video, we created an image target that is replaced by another image. We made these inside of Photoshop. I scanned this cover of the magazine into Photoshop and then cut it up into a bottom, which we're going to do in this video as a to replace it with a video, and then a top piece, which we did in the last video, to replace it with another image that I composited that switches out these two old photographs. So we're going to look at that briefly here and then go on to the video portion that's going to replace this image. And then we're also going to put in a 3D character. So if we go back over to Unity, we can see the image targets, and you have to make the images that you want to replace those targets with. You have to put them on a material that we then put on an image. And if I move that a little bit up in Y, you can see what that looks like. Let me undo that. And it's sitting right on top of there, and we scaled it a little bit after we tested it to make sure that it looks like it's in the right place on the actual magazine. Now if I hit play here with maximize on play on, you'll see the camera feed from my external camera. And if I bring this into focus, we should see the magazine cover being replaced by the image that I have set inside of Unity. The next thing I want to do is take the bottom image and bring it in and replace that as an image target. So if I'm going to bring in a new image target or create a new image target, it's going to come up right here in the middle of my world space, right on top of this one. And so it's a good idea for me to take this image target and move it out of the way. It doesn't really matter where you place it inside of here. If I just move it a little bit up, maybe to about 2 units or so, it'll be right off screen there. And I can then bring up a new image target right here in the middle of my world space. And they won't be sitting on top of each other so that they're getting in each other's way. So I'll go ahead and go to the create menu, but I don't want to have this selected when I create the new image target because it will make it child to this. So I'm going to click off into this empty area down here. I'm going to go to create, and we'll do, again, Vuforia engine and image. And you see it creates the same image target as before because that's kind of the default one that came up, and it's maybe remembering the last one I did. So I'm going to go over to the, with it selected, we'll change that under the image target behavior script. There is image target. We want the same database, but there's a second one for the bottom of the magazine. And so I'll put that on, and I'll name this one magazine bottom image, or magbot image target. I am going to put image target on the name just so that I remember that it's an image target and not some other kind of target. And then I'm going to go ahead and create an object that can hold the video. So like on the last one where I created a plane, a 3D plane under the create menu in the hierarchy, where I go to 3D object and choose plane, I'm going to do the same thing for the video. Of course, it comes in really big, so I'll put it down to 0.1 in X and 0.1 in Z, just so I can see it in the close to the same amount as the other one. And then I'll set its position back to 0, 0, 0, so it's sitting right in the middle of the world space where the image target is. And I can see the outline. I can see a little bit of a moire pattern, so I kind of know where that is. And I'll go ahead and scale it to fit the image target. I also want to name it over here in the inspector. Let's go ahead and call this one Magbot Replace, and we'll put video on the name so we know it's video. And we'll drag it on top of the image target so it's child to it. With the left mouse button, you just drag it on there. Makes it child to it. Now once it's child to it, we can go ahead and start scaling it. Remember, you can use your W, E, R keys. I'm going to click R, which puts me on the scaling manipulator, and I'll go ahead and pull it in X a little bit and Z to make it pretty close to the right scale. You might actually want to make it a little bigger than the original. Now with it child to it, it will automatically replace it with that thing. If I actually run it right now, it replaces it. Now you can see that it just uses a white box or a white plane, and that's because we have to plug the video in still, but it's not bringing up the other image. So that's actually something you need to adjust by going back to the AR camera. And when you want to do more than one image target, you have to set that under the Vuforia behavior script. There's an open Vuforia engine configuration where we went to put our license key in, and we want to go to the right below that. There is a max simultaneous tract, and that max simultaneous tract needs to be set to 2 now because I want a second image target in here. So if I go back and hit play again and move my camera, I can see now that I have both images coming up, the upper image, and I've got a plane for the lower image. So I'm going to go ahead and add the video to that plane. I see it's still a little bit off. I might want to go ahead and select it and move it a little bit to the left. I think it looked like it was a little bit off. And then I want to add the video as a component. So it's a little different than doing an image. An image, I made a material and I put the image as a texture map on that. For video, I can just add a video component to this plane. So with the plane selected inside your inspector, I'm going to go to Add Component and find at the very bottom of that window that comes up is Video, and I want a video player. The video player component has a space on it for a video clip, and I can go to my my magazine assets where my video is, and I can drag it onto that space where it's looking for a clip. And any kind of MP4 or other kind of video file should plug right in there. And so that should automatically play. I have it on play on awake. We'll change that in a bit when I add a script to it to control when it plays. But for now, I'll just leave play on awake on. And we'll try it again by running it and point our camera at it. And we can see that it's bringing up our video. And it's upside down. So I'm going to change that with the object selected, the plane selected. I'm going to go ahead and rotate that 180 degrees in Y, and that should flip it around. You also notice that the audio kept playing even though I didn't have the camera on it anymore. So that's something that we're going to want to fix as well. Ideally, we would like the video to play when the camera goes on it and there's tracking, and then to stop playing when the camera goes off of it. So to do that, I have to use a script. This AR video script that I have right here, that's the script I want to use for this. So if I open this in Visual Studio, what you're going to see is that after the initial system collections and Unity Engine, you need to have using Vuforia in here in this script. And also we have a public class, which I'm calling AR Video Control, and it's using the iTrackable Event Handler. So that is actually from Vuforia. If you go look at their documentation, you'll see example scripts of how you can get the trackable behavior on your different objects. And this is an example of one of those scripts. And the important thing to know is that it's going to get the trackable behavior components, and then it's going to look to see when it's being tracked. So it's looking at the status and is it being tracked, and also something called extended tracked, which is beyond what you can see on your camera, but your camera can still see it. So all of that it's looking for in an if statement, which means that it's looking to see if that's true. And if it is true, then it's going to play the video player. And otherwise, if it's not true, if it's not being tracked anymore, either in extended or regular, and it's not being detected, then it's going to pause the video player. So that's the behavior that I have in this script, which you can download on Canvas for the course. And you could write this script yourself, of course, inside of Unity if you had the template for what needs to happen on the trackable behavior from Vuforia. But you would just do that by going to your C#, creating a new C# script. Now, this script is what I would apply to this this image target. So you don't actually apply it to the video object that's child to the image target. You apply it to the image target. And the reason you do that is because the image target is what's doing the trackable behavior. So you can add a component for that image target, and you can go into and find scripts and choose that AR video control. And when that is put on the image target, there is a space in that to bring in the video player. So if we go back to this again, you'll see that there is a public variable at the beginning of this script that says unityengine.video.videoplayer, and the name of the variable here is video player. And that's what's being plugged in down here when you're playing and pausing it. So that's going to just tell it where your video player component is, since it's not actually on the object that has the trackable behavior. It's on a child object to that. So we'll go back into Unity. We'll find that child object, and you can actually just plug that child object in to where it says video player. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag that over there. That's the child object that has the video component on it. And then it's going to find that video component on there, and it'll play and stop it or pause it. So if I do that and I hit play again, so we've flipped it around so it's right side up. Now it's playing the video. If I move the camera off it, it should stop, and then when I move the camera back on, it'll start the video and the sound again. And it's doing that because the sound is actually embedded in the video. So all I have to do is control the video, and I'm also controlling the sound in this case. So that image target is also working. You probably want to adjust it a little bit, scale it, and move it so that it really lines up well with the other image target that's coming up on the magazine cover. You don't want to see any little edges sticking out and stuff. But then what I would like to also do is add a 3D character. So we downloaded some files for the 3D characters, and I put those files into where my magazine assets are. And we've used the one for the video, and we've also used the image ones as well as the script. Now I want to use these 3D objects. So I'm going to right-click these and copy them. And I'll go over and paste those. This is the main one with the T-pose, and I'll go ahead and paste it into here, which is my assets of my project file. And we'll also go and grab the one that has the animation on it for the swing dancing that doesn't have any skin. And I'll go ahead and paste that in. And once I do that, once I paste these 3D files, one for the model in the T-pose and one for the animation, Unity will automatically import those. That's my preferred way of importing objects into Unity, is to just place them in the project folders. So this is my assets folder, and here's my magazine assets, and you can see that they came in there. So the one that has the model shows up as a model, but it looks kind of grayscale. You don't see any texture map on it in the preview here. So we can fix that, and we probably want to fix that first thing. Go to Materials, select it, and you'll see the import settings. And I want to go to the Materials, and I'm going to change this from Embedded Materials to Use External Materials Legacy. This actually allows me to get access to the materials inside of Unity rather than being embedded and I can't edit them at all. So I'm going to use this external materials. I can go ahead and use base texture name, and I do want to use the local materials folder, and I'll apply that. And as soon as I do that, you'll see it's coming up that there are some normal maps that need to be fixed. They need to be set to normal maps, so I'm going to fix that automatically here by clicking Fix Now. And then I can see that the picture looks much more like the character was inside of Fuse in Mixamo. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the model, and the other things that I want to do is in the I am going to want to adjust the scale factor. I know that it's going to be too big. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down to 0.5 to begin with and apply it. I might have to go smaller than 0.5, but I'll start there. Then I'm going to go to Rig, and there's a couple of different choices you could make here. If you were just plain animation from, say, Maya or Mixamo, you could just use Legacy. It's pretty simple. If you are doing anything more complicated, or you might think you might be adding more animations later, you want to use Humanoid. And I'm going to use Humanoid here. And for this one, because it is the model in the T-pose, I want to create from this model. I don't want to copy from another avatar. This is going to create what's called an avatar on it. I'm going to use all the standard settings here and apply it. Now, it doesn't look like anything happened, but it actually did create a bunch of things underneath this top character node here. So there are a bunch of child objects down here, and the one I'm really interested in is this one that looks like a dummy, the top of a dummy, wooden dummy, and it's the avatar. And we're going to want to place that on some things. So before I go further into this, I'm going to go ahead and check animation. Right now there's nothing on it. This is just a T-pose, so there shouldn't really be anything to do on animation. I'm going to go ahead and pull this character into my scene. So I'm just going to drag it from right here with my left mouse button, and I'm going to drag it into the scene and drop it right here. Now, I actually want this to be part of the top part of the magazine. And I want him to dance right along the logo there, right along the title, Roaring Twenties title. So I'm going to place him right on top of it. And I can see that he's probably about the right size. He might actually be a little bit small. I might want him a little bigger than that. But let's try this size. I do know that I want him to be facing towards the other bottom part of the magazine. So I'm going to take the top node of this character and rotate it 180 in Y. So he's facing the other way. You can see that I have an animator node on this character. And that animator node has the avatar plugged in automatically, which is what I want. It's not going to have any animation on it right now. He's just going to be standing in his T-pose. And I can test that out and see what it looks like. I'll go ahead and hit, actually, it wouldn't do anything now until I make it child to this image target here. So I'll take this model, the very top node, I'm going to drag it on the top image target. So the top image target now is going to have two objects child to it. One, the image that I'm replacing, the other one is this 3D model. All right, let's try it and see if the 3D model is showing up. So if I point this at it, I see that we have the 3D model, the video is playing, the image is replaced, but there's something weird about the 3D model. I can see through its hat. I'm actually seeing through parts of the body, so that's a little bit of a problem. Sometimes when you bring an object in from Mixamo, you actually have to fix the texture maps. So if I open up this character in my hierarchy and I go, say, to the body material or the body model, the material is at the bottom, and if I open it up with this little drop down, I'll see that it's set to a transparent rendering mode, and that is not something I want. I want it to be opaque. So I can just switch that, and you can see now he looks better. I'm going to want to do that with all my different materials. Just open them up, switch them from transparent to opaque, especially the ones that are definitely supposed to be solid, like his hat. Certain things like the eyelashes or the hair might actually need to have some transparency on it, but these other ones should be opaque. And when I switch all these to opaque, if I play it again and look at the magazine, I can see that it looks correct now. Okay, so I fixed the model, and I want to put the animation on him. So to put the animation on the character, I'll go ahead and close the different models because I don't need to do anything with them right now. And I'm going to now change it so that now what I want to do is I want to put the animation on the character and also scale the character if I think he's too small, but I'll actually do that after I look at the animation because I'm not sure how far he's going to go on the magazine cover. I don't want him to go off the edge of it. So I'll leave him the scale he is, and I'll go ahead and add the animation. So the animation came in when I copied it into this magazine assets folder, and it looks like this 3D blue cube here. And if I click on it, I'll see that I have a lot of the same import settings as the other character, and I do want to set some things on this. I don't really have to worry about the scale factor because it's going to take the scale factor of the character in the T-pose, but I do want to go over to Rig, the Rig tab, and change the animation type to also be humanoid. And in this case, the avatar definition needs to be copied from other avatar because this is just animation. It has no model. And so it's going to use the avatar from the other model. And that's how it's going to know where to put the animation. So I'll go ahead and choose that. And then I have to tell it what avatar am I using. So I'm going to go and open up that other model, the T-pose model, and I'm going to go find the avatar. I'm going to drag it on there. So now it knows which avatar to use, and I'm going to apply it. The only other thing I might want to look at on this animation is I may want to check the animation itself. There should be some animation there, so you should see some keyframes or some frames. And if you go and look, I am going to want this to loop, so there's something called loop time. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on. I do want to put loop time on for this animation. And I could go to the bottom here and click on this little drop down and actually see what that animation would look like as he's doing it. So it looks fine. I want it to loop. I'll go ahead and put that on there, and then I'll apply that as well. So now what I want to do, I have those all set up. So the last thing I need to do is in my create menu for the project, if I go look at this character, it's missing one thing. It's missing a controller. And it's part of the animator that I need to get in there, and you have to create it. It doesn't get created automatically. So under the project menu, under the create section, you're going to go and find animator controller and click on that. Give it a name. We'll call this one, let's call it Charleston Dancer Control. Enter. So I called it Charleston Dancer Control. And if I open it up, this is what the animator looks like. It's a node-based interface. And you create sort of connections or a hierarchy of nodes here. And you do that by right-clicking an empty area. And you go to create state, and I'm going to create an empty state. And we'll go ahead and give that a name. We'll call that Charleston Dance or something like that, or just let's just call it Dance Clip. Dance Clip 1. And we'll just hit enter on that. And you can see that it has no animation plugged in where it says motion. So for that, I'm going to go find the animation that I set up earlier. So I can just click this little dot next to it and look for it. And I want the swing dancing no skin. That's the clip I'm going to use. Okay, so now that we have animation in there, speed of 1 means that it's just going to play forward, and we already set it to loop. So this automatically should happen because this is the base clip. This is the first clip that this character has. And in order to make sure that this is going to work, I'll go back to the character itself, and you notice that the controller that I made is not plugged in yet. I've been working on the controller, but I haven't actually plugged it in to the animator of this character. So I need to go and do that. Here's the controller, and I'll just plug it in. Like so. Now that we have it plugged in, we've got both the avatar and the controller plugged in, I can go ahead and try this out. So if I hit play, okay, it seems to be working. The animation is coming from this animator controller and this clip that I've set up. Clip itself is just plain, and it's set to loop on the animation itself. On the import settings of that, we turned on that loop time. So everything is working now. The only thing I would say is that for the character, I may want him to be a little bigger, so he's a little more prominent. I would do that. I wouldn't scale this character over here in your hierarchy because it's got a rig on it and it's got animation on it, and scaling it could do something unpredictable. What you want to do is you want to go to the actual the prefab object, which is the T-pose character that you imported, and just go to that, go to the model section, and change your scale factor. So I put it down to a 0.5 scale factor. If I want that to be a little bigger, I can try like 0.7 and apply it, and it will make the character bigger in all aspects, and it won't mess with the rig at all. I'm going to switch my window back to my 2x3 layouts, and I can see then kind of what the size of the character looks like there. Let's just double click him to zoom in on him, and that's probably a little better size. I want him to kind of reach the edge of the magazine when he's dancing around. So let's try it again. Take a look at it. And what you'll notice is that the shadows from the directional light is going across all the images. So the top image and the bottom video image, which makes the 3D character look a lot more realistic. So that is a nice touch. And you could adjust your directional light to match whatever lighting you think you would have in the actual environment of your real environment. He is going a little bit across outside the edge on this side, so I might want to actually move the model a little bit to the right here. And I think that he's going a little bit too much over the video, so I might want to move him back a little bit to have him dance a little bit more on this top part. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's take a look at it one more time with Maximize on Play and check all the positions of everything. And we can see everything's working. Character's in a nice position. We can pick up the magazine, move it around. when we lose the video, we do lose the sound. So if we were concerned about that, we could separate the sound out from the video. But it's actually nice to have it embedded if you are concerned about syncing or anything, if something were to drop frames. Okay, that's everything we're going to do for now. This shows you how to do 3D character from Mixamo or Maya with animation on it, how to import it in, and then make it child to the image target so that it's going to come up with animation. We used the animator controllers for that, component and controller. And we also have video playing and replacing as well as images. So play with that and make sure that you use that in your projects.